he's fixing. Oh, hello, recording. Okay. Oh, yeah. Calling the special meeting to order at 8:18. All those. Oh, I'm sorry.
Roll call.
There are 3 members here. Mrs. Tweedy and Mrs. Frank are not here.
I move that the governing board adopt the agenda.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, who's going to be doing this?
I'm going to be doing it. Are we going to put it up?
We have it.
Woot.
Okay. We are going to start. President Ordway, members of the board, Dr. Finch, given that the groundbreaking ceremony for the new school is days away at this point, it is our pleasure to provide a brief new school update to you this evening.
And may I mention, it's our pleasure to receive this report and information.
Oh, I like that too. Thank you. In this brief presentation, we will provide you with a review of some relevant data points, talk about the curricular model, as well as highlight some common characteristics of immersion programming. We will talk about facility updates and finally give you a rough draft timeline of some important next steps. As you are aware through the board updates, the district's intent is to provide a partial immersion Spanish-English programming along with an English-only offering at the new school, which is scheduled to open next school year. This first slide has a relevant data point which speaks to the growing number of school districts and charters in our area and surrounding areas that are offering immersion programming. These districts are responding to the growing desire by parents to have their children become bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural or multicultural citizens. An interesting fact that we recently learned is that Mesa Unified has set a target of having more than 20 immersion schools by 2023. Although somewhat dated, this slide captures the growing demand for immersion programming at the national level. It is expected that current year levels would even be much higher than what is shown in this bar graph, which is close to the 500 language immersion schools. Slide 5 displays the results of a parent survey that we administered last school year to the parents in Sonoran Foothills and Norterra Canyon boundaries. Of the 165 parents who responded, 75% indicated that Spanish language immersion programming was either somewhat or extremely important to them when making school selections. This next slide contains characteristics and goals of immersion programming. I will not read the bullet points to you, but rather I will highlight certain keywords such as additive bilingualism, subject area instruction, teachers being fully proficient, and a separation of languages, as those being some of the core characteristics. As far as the goals, these characteristics serve to create an instructional offering where students can achieve at or beyond grade level, become bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural. Slide 7 contains information with respect to the type of immersion models that are being considered for implementation at the new school. The two models are 90-10 and 50-50, with the numbers referring to the percentages of the school day that are taught in the immersion and English languages. You can see that there are pros and cons for each model. We'll be making decisions about which model to use in the near future. The school would start with one of these two models at the kinder and first grade levels, and then the immersion program would build up one grade each subsequent year. The English-only offering would begin K-7 in year 1.
Could you repeat that? I apologize, Dr. Zerpach. The what will begin in grade 7?
The English-only offering would begin K-7 in year 1, and then K-8 in year 2.
Okay.
K-7, kindergarten through 7th
thank you.
grade.
Thank you. Okay.
President Ordway, members of the board, Dr. Finch, just wanted to give you a brief facility update since we are talking about the new school. And we have shared this information previously. I think the new information here is I was out at the site as late as yesterday. Even with the rain, I'd like to say we were moving dirt, but I think it was more that we were moving mud with all the rain. But we have begun the construction out there. Quite a bit of dirt work that does need to be part of the actual site preparation. So that'll take a little bit for that to happen. We're still on target to finish the construction by the end of June, maybe first part of July. And the facility itself, there's not something specific in the design to address the curriculum supports that we're talking about with the immersion program, because I don't think there is a unique, from our research, there isn't a unique design requirement for an immersion program. And then I just had to throw in a slide of the of what the finished product
Really
is
like
supposed to
that
look
green
like,
car.
to make sure that you can hold us accountable for that as we move forward.
Oh, that was quick. I couldn't look at the trees. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, slide 9 contains a timeline of key next steps. Note this is not an exhaustive list, but does provide an overview of some of our next steps going forward. You can see that in October, we will have the groundbreaking ceremony, and we'll also start the process to post for the principal and the school secretary. In November, we anticipate hiring a school principal and secretary, and also to dramatically increase marketing efforts for the new school. In December, we believe the furniture will be ordered, and we will also want to start securing our community members, for example, the parents, who will help the principal make school-based decisions. In January and beyond, you can see that there are other items, such as the hiring of teachers, adopting curriculum, and also the school name and et cetera that will need to be done. Thank you.
No, thank you. Mrs. O'Brien says one quick question.
It looks from the very beautiful drawing with the green car. I like the blue one, though. The kindergarten playground, is it
Here it comes.
between buildings?
President Ordway, Ms. O'Brien, yes. So the kindergarten actual playground would be between the administration building on the right-hand side of that picture and the two-story classroom building that's on just west of that.
And then where is the parent drop-off? Is it stop at kindergarten and go forward, or?
There is a kindergarten drop-off that's part of the north parking lot. So the cars that
I
you
do
see
see
on
it.
the right-hand side of that picture.
So that's not.
So this is big kids.
So that's
drop-off.
separate than
So their
kindergarten
drop-offs are
parents
separate.
stopping all of the traffic for the rest of the
Um,
school.
Those parking lots are connected. So it's easier to see maybe even on the picture above. If you can click back. So you enter the campus from one entrance in the upper right-hand portion of this slide, and then you wrap all the way around. There's enough room for 2 lanes of traffic that would be just south of the parking stalls that you see on the north parking lot. So cars could still get by those that were dropping off. And then they would continue on to the south and have the rest of the student drop-off in front of the school or on the east of the actual buildings themselves.
So whether it was intended or not, I'd just like to say kudos, because what it looks like to me is that, one, the kindergarten playground is not right out at the front of the building and accessible to everybody that's in the parking lot. And second, that those drop-off areas are separate and there's room for parents of older children to get by the kindergarten parents, so as not to create maybe as large of a traffic jam. So thank you, intended or not. I love those 2 things about this plan. It looks beautiful.
It is very intentional. One of the things that we're considering here is that we would be drawing students to this, especially with the program offering that we're sharing with the board this evening. And so realizing that part of that draw, and because of the open enrollment policies that we have in place, that some parents, maybe even more than is typical, will be driving their students to this campus as opposed to being
Buses.
provided transportation from our bus service.
Well, thank you for being so mindful of those things that will occur on that campus.
As you can tell, we've all been at the many different schools prior to them opening, but not prior to the kindergarten parents getting there and everyone else waiting behind them. Just saying. Thank you.
This probably, maybe if I could chime in from a timeline. You saw the timeline in the slide. Obviously, there are probably 100 decisions in between those,
At least
but these are the big ones. And so now that we've made a commitment towards immersion, we'll then decide the 50-50 or the 90-10. But it's not if, it's when and what model. So and so we'll keep you again through Friday updates, keep you in the loop on how we're making progress, what decisions we've made accordingly, etc.
And in those updates, you'll include how the steps you're taking to reach that
Correct.
final decision.
Correct. I don't know, but maybe Dr. Gallagher, I hate to put you on this spot, but you actually had some wisdom related to our previous immersion programs and maybe some thoughts on where you're thinking, maybe how to correct some of the mistakes we have at Desert Sage or Gavilan Peak. That might be helpful for in the future. That's
Right,
what she's
yeah,
thinking out loud, but I want to share some
Yeah.
of her.
If you want to
Brain
share
power.
it now, that's great.
President Ordway, members of the board, Dr. Finch, really the only thing that we're considering is the school is being built for 4 classrooms at each grade level. So
Okay.
the intent would be that 2 of those classrooms would always be for general ed students who have chosen not to go into the Spanish
Right.
immersion program, and 2 would be for Spanish immersion, thereby reducing the challenge that we found at Gavilan Peak and a little bit at Desert Sage as well. That's just one of the many conversations we're having.
Well, I appreciate all information, because when we did start at Gavilan Peak, it was interesting to be part of that kind of pioneer thing and visiting Cave Creek and a couple other school districts that had been doing it for a little bit. It was interesting. And then Christina Latte did, she was part of a lot of it. So, lot of it, whatever. So it's just nice to get the information and watch how it grows. So, and then when people ask us, we can say this is how we're doing it and why.
Absolutely.
So I
We're very
appreciate it.
excited for this opportunity.
Thank you for all that information.
Yes, thank you. We're excited for the groundbreaking. Yay!
All right,
No much.
President Ordway, I move to adjourn the work session.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.